across the screen, it'll be great. For like, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Are we sure this is sober, Keith?
This is
this is buzzed, Keith. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben Steger, here to answer your shooting questions. With me today, Sober Tim.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hello, Sober Matt.
Hi.
And buzzed Keith.
Not at all.
Not at all, really?
I'm trying, but damn it. You guys won't give me a break.
Okay. Les wants to come on a podcast. He'll have to come on the next one. All right. So here's a question today, guys. How many repetitions to do during your live fire training? So, got a question from a guy. When he's doing his dry fire drills, he switched from reps to time. For example, I pick a drill, perform that drill for 15 minutes, then go to the next drill. I don't know exactly how many reps I do. I just do them for 15 minutes, which sounds like a hell of a long time to me. To do like 15 minutes of one drill. Jesus. Okay. On average, assuming 4 reps per minute, that's about 60 reps for that drill. That works great for dry fire, but not for live fire. In live fire, if I'm pacing, scoring, and reloading, 15 minutes go by with minimum reps. On the other hand, if I do the estimated 60 reps, that's a lot of ammo per drill, approximately 360 for a 6-shot drill. So if I want to do 2 or 3 drills on live fire, that's 720 to 1,080 rounds per session. So the question is, how should I conduct my live fire sessions? Okay, pay attention to this, guys. This is the questions. How many reps per drill is a good number, and how many drills per session is a good number? Okay, Tim, you're the biggest practicer, and you're the closest guy laterally to me on the screen that I look at, so I'm going to click on you, and we'll talk to you first. So, the first one, how many reps per drill, and then how many drills per session? Because I think we've hit on this before, but
yeah,
apparently this guy wasn't listening.
How many reps per drill? I think honestly it's going to just vary. I know it does for me. A lot of it's just, I mean, if I might spend, between 6 and 10 reps, on a certain drill, and if I feel like, God damn it, I still need work on that, or I'm not hitting my marks, or, I'm not, for some reason, I'm not feeling like I'm really, driven in the points on that drill, I'll keep going. And there's other drills that I plan on spending a lot of time on, and it feels like, after 5 or 6 reps or whatnot, that it's like, well, okay, that I'm already there. So what's the point in continuing on the same thing? Now, as far as drills per session, I used to be kind of big on that. Like when I very first started practicing a few years ago, it was all about like, man, I'd be there all day long, and I've kind of adopted the Ben Steger fuck that noise kind of rule of thought.
Dude, man, yeah,
I got other things to do. Yeah, that's insane. And at the same time, you got to think about the more drills you add to a practice session, the harder it is to retain the information. Unless you're writing down everything in like a notepad or something between drills, it's hard to retain the information and be able to like properly reflect on it and know kind of what to do with it, how to process it. So I'm kind of generally absolutely no more than 4. And like to keep it around the 2 to 4 drill per practice session.
All right, I got a question for you. What's the most reps you can remember doing on a single drill in a practice session?
Ooh. Most reps.
I'm sitting here thinking about this. Like, what's the most I've done one drill?
I've been working a lot of transitions and stuff this year, just to get gun speed up, transition speed up, and so like doing Blake drills and I'd probably say at least 10 to I'd say probably more close to 15 to 20.
That's the most times you've ever done like one drill.
In one
session.
In one session, yeah.
But you think about it, like 20 repetitions as like the most that you've done one. That's not that's
No,
not
that's actually not that far out of realm. No, you're right.
No, that's not crazy, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
Hopkins, what do you think, dude?
What was the question?
I like taking notes. And,
Question is, what is your favorite color?
I like black. I think that's like 2 questions, right? Like how many he should do in dry fire, and then like the live fire segment of it.
No,
Right?
in dry fire, he does them for 15 minutes. Like, I'm not going to take issue with that. That sounds like a fucking long time to me. But whatever. You know?
Live fire. I think if he's going to try to duplicate that in live fire, he has
Well,
a huge
I think it's
ammo bill that I don't.
yeah.
have.
It's not realistic. So he's
Yeah.
he's asking what he should do.
And a live fire. Fuck, man. I think he should do it till he can't do it anymore, and then, yeah, no, dude, I'm jealous.
I'm just trying to live up to Ben's expectations.
I think he should do it till he it's like falling backward, or it's not going good for him.
Well, how many repetitions is that normally for you
I don't know.
when you're practicing?
Dude,
I mean, you
depends on
you
the
don't
day, honestly.
you don't ever shoot more than 500 rounds in a day.
No, not hardly
Okay.
ever.
Hardly ever shoot more than 500, and you work on a couple different things.
I like
Right?
to work on. I'm gonna actually change what I'm doing to work on one drill a session.
You are going to start doing that, or
Yeah, that's my plan for next year. One of my things I'm gonna change is work on one drill.
as opposed to what did you do this year?
Try to put too many in. Well, I
Okay.
didn't really do stuff this year. It's a light year for me.
Okay. It was a light year for your practice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I shot entirely too many matches.
Yeah. All right.
So
Keith.
can I go? Okay. I'm gonna go with both Matt and Tim here together. It was a light year for my practice, and I did some bullshit and fucked everything up. But Tim's thing about there's only so much that you can process at one time, and there's a big thing that this goes around
Got to know his limitations. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm sorry, what now?
A man has got to know his limitations.
Well, no, but yes, of course, but you can only process so much at a time. There's a whole school of thought once you sleep, what you can learn in one day, you practice and practice and practice, and you sleep and you go through it, and then you go the next day. Do you ever notice that when you do something on one day, you can work through practice, and then the next day it's much better after you've already slept and gone through it? I can't remember this exact.
I'm with you so far. But
Well,
that's why you should practice multiple days, right?
Of course. So it goes through this whole thing where you're going through your short-term memory into your long-term memory and ingraining it, right? So once you go to sleep, that your short-term memory becomes ingrained into your long-term memory. So there's only so many things that you can actually accomplish in a certain period of time.
Okay.
If I had more time to think through this, I could go through what's appropriate, but there's some
There's a lot of books on this.
Right,
I've read
there's
some stuff on this.
Matt's a lot. That's just what I'm saying. There's a lot of books that go through this thing, but it's actually true. When you go to guitar, you play the guitar, you learn to play basketball, you learn to do any of these things that we're trying to learn how to do, right? You can't just sit there and do. I can sit there and do 50,000 reloads until my hands bleed in a day.
I bet you
Not-
you
I
can.
bet you can't do them in one day.
Well, if there's money involved, then yeah, I could do
There
it.
could be money involved in this.
Oh,
yeah.
there's podcast money, which is not really a lot of money.
That's monopoly money.
It's
Okay.
pennies and pennies.
Okay. Negative pennies. Okay, so I'm losing $1 every time I do a reload, so no. But I'm saying that if you could do 50,000 reloads in a day, would that help you versus doing 5,000 real ones, sleep on it, get up and do, 500 the next day, sleep on it, get up and do 500 the next day.
Right.
Solid,
So you're making a very
solid
good
progression.
argument for why you should practice every day.
Yes.
But his question is, how many repetitions is the optimal number? Because it's definitely not 50,000, right?
Fuck no.
Okay. So what's the number?
I'm with Matt on that. You
I
can't
don't
really
think you
put
can put a number
you can't
on
put a
it.
number on it.
Well, sure
I mean,
you can.
Well,
If you really want to fuck with them, you
Well-
put a decimal point and then another number.
This
That's what I
50,000 is
do.
definitely too many.
Okay, can we go back for a second, because I like the thing of, like, as the noob, as the idiot on the show, for sure.
Right.
I like the idea of I set a regimented amount of time that I'm going to work on the thing that I suck at per session. Because if
Okay.
I don't do that, I'll deviate and I'll jag off on crap that I'm good at. So if I'm saying, like, okay, I'm going to spend like 15 minutes on reloads. I'm going to spend 15 minutes on hard transitions out of a spot. I'm going to do that.
Right?
That's worthwhile to me as a goal. So,
Right, but this guy, so you're saying he should regiment it by time?
No, I'm saying he should regiment it by whatever goal is appropriate to his suckitude.
Right, but how many repetitions of reloads would he do then?
As many as he needs to do to not think
Jesus.
that he sucks, which is like all of them.
I'd like to hear your
That's-
answer on this.
That's not very
Yeah,
helpful.
that's not very helpful.
advice.
Now I dug myself back in the hole. I thought I was out. Now I'm back in.
You want to, Hopkins? You want to hear what I
Back to
think?
Ben. Back to Ben.
I think we should, because you've been trying to lead us on this whole time to answer.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
trying to. I want to get
It's
what
your
you
time.
guys
Come on,
say
Socrates.
before I say something, because as soon as I say something, then Tim will agree, and then
Nah,
Keith will. I don't know. Keith probably won't care what I say.
I'll disagree for fun.
What number of repetitions to do? I think it depends on round count for the drill, because I noticed that reset time kind of plays into how many repetitions I feel comfortable doing. I consider myself a pretty efficient practicer at this point, and typically I'm going to do like 4 or 5 repetitions of a bigger drill and maybe 10 or 15 of a smaller drill.
What do you
So-
define big and small?
Right, so multiple positions, higher round count, usually a reload, so that's going to be a bigger drill. And then smaller drills, it's something where usually there's no movement and there's not reloading or whatever, because it's typically what I'll do is I'll kind of run through everything on my belt for any drills. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, like build drills, some like middle mini stage scenario stuff, target transition drills. That'd be like, let's say 6 rounds, static, standing in one spot. What I've found works for me is to run through what's on my belt, and then do a different variation of the same drill or move on to something else.
Okay.
That works well, because there's a logical break there when I just stand and shoot up the ammo I've got, and then I'm gonna refill my magazines, think about what I just did, reset the stage, pace the targets, whatever, and then just think like, okay, do I do another variation of this thing, or do I go do something else, or
do you work on it some more?
yeah, in some instances, then I'll work on it some more. Not very often, because let's say you're doing 2-shot drills, just working on drawing and getting a good grip on the gun and firing 2 rounds. If you go through a belt's worth of ammo on that, like, that's going to be a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
Yeah,
going to be a
if
lot
you're
of ammo.
carrying 60 rounds of ammo on you, you're doing at least 30 reps.
You got to, yeah. So
yeah,
that was
exactly. That's a lot of ammo, and that's like 30 reps on the same thing is a ton.
Sure.
so.
Now, has
So
there, Ben? I
I've
want
had
to, Keith. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
no,
to cut you guys off.
Well,
Ben, is there a time that you've been working on something? Let's say you're whittling down let's say something that you're more par derived on. You know, something you set a par, you set a goal for yourself, and you think, God damn it, I'm almost there. Do you stop, or have you pushed yourself beyond what you would typically consider your comfortable amount of time on something to be like, nope, I'm gonna fucking beat this today, and then the next thing you know, you've been there another,
I would
40, 50 rounds to do that.
I would say I'm not super par focused at the moment. So it's kind of like if I get to the point on a drill where it's like if there's some magic number and I shoot that drill like 10 times and that magic number exists, it is not particularly important to me to hit this magic number if I know it is within the realm of my skill to hit the magic number. Where it's like, yeah, if I just get lucky and I hit the magic number, like, that would be cool, right? You know what I mean? Shooting, if I know that I can do it, it doesn't really matter to me that I actually do it. I'm more concerned with, well, what is my average score on this drill? That's interesting to me. What is my average score? What is my worst score? What is the best score I shot that day?
So things like, can it be repeated? Can I do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really focused on that stuff, like picking a magic number and hitting it. Sometimes I want to do that, but oftentimes not. It's just kind of like, because I have learned that it's not super productive for me to burn up my time and energy on hitting the magic number when I've got something else that I wanted to work on that day, or I want to do a different variation of that drill or something. Like I've said it for a while on the show, like you work on 2 or 3 things in a day, that's a pretty good number. 2 or 3 different drills or different skill sets, something like that. Work on those in one day, and that's going to be pretty good. That's going to be 200, 300, 400 rounds, and usually that's all the time and ammo money and stuff that you have for that day. What that means for repetitions is in smaller drills you shoot more, bigger drills shoot less. Like maybe if you do 10 El Presidentes, that's a lot of those, right? That would take you a while, and you're going to shoot 120 rounds, right? That's a lot of that to do in one day. But if you're doing build drills, 10 of those I don't think is a ton. That'd be 60 rounds running through what's on your belt once.
Housing.
Yeah, I mean, shoot it with production that's running through what's on your belt once. If you have your limited mags full, that could be even more.
I have 2 points.
Go ahead.
When you say run through your belt on a given drill, are you resetting? Like, are you just like running through what you have? Are you resetting? Are you dealing with, like, how often do you do a drill from the front of the belt? How often do you do it from like late in the stage, quote unquote? I'm gonna say the air quotes for the guys who are listening to the audio rip. How often do you like let's say like if you're gonna run through a drill, and I'll do that, like run through something with what's on my belt, but I might be in the 3rd or 4th mag on the belt.
Oh, you're wondering if I stage magazines up?
Stage it up.
I don't really care. Sometimes I stage them up and sometimes I don't. It doesn't really matter.
Do you feel right?
It doesn't make any difference to me.
Okay, it doesn't make a difference to you because you're bent. Got other guys?
I don't think it's going to make a huge difference at all. I mean, I think it is probably a good habit to get your magazines where it's advantageous to reload. Right, yeah, but it's also not bad to practice reloading from further back on your belt.
Right.
But you can do a lot of that during dry fire anyway, so I don't really think it's going to matter.
That's what I was going to say. That's a skill
it doesn't matter for me
when you're just doing reload stuff.
Like Keith, for example, if I was doing a reload oriented drill, something where the reload time matters, then I will stage the magazines up because I want the reload time that I'm measuring to be consistent. You know, I don't want to add in any additional inconsistency to the reload time that I'm trying to measure.
But
whereas if I'm doing a stage thing, then oftentimes I won't bother staging the magazines forward, just like fucking shoot the stage.
Right.
Or shoot the little practice drill.
That's what I mean, is mid stage drill versus just doing a pure reload or
Yeah.
classifier type situation.
I'm with you. So anyway, what I found is logical for me is I do sets. Like I'll do whatever's on my belt, that will be one sort of set, and then if I kind of decide where I'm going to go from there. So for a big multi-position, multi-shooting drill, that might be 1 repetition, 2 repetitions, 3, maybe 4, and then I'll reset and decide what I want to do next. If it's a shorter drill, it could be a lot more repetition. It just depends on what I want to do. If you're doing a drill like the dots, I would staple up one sheet and I'll shoot that sheet and then decide if I want to shoot another one or do something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here.
So I think looking for those logical breaks in kind of where it makes sense to look at doing the next drill or staying on the drill you're on or doing a different variation. Like when you run out of ammo on your belt, when you don't have to patch the targets or change the sheet of dots or something like that. That's a good time to, because what I find is while I'm refilling my magazines or I'm having my wife refill my magazines, whatever, and I'm pasting targets, and then I'm thinking about what I'm doing. You're seeing all the hits, all that stuff, and then it's kind of like, okay, this is what happened. This is what I wanted to have happen. Do I want to move on, stay on this, or go do something else? Thoughts on that, Hopkins? You're nodding your head up pretty intently.
The only thing I can add is if you get tired or feel yourself like being worn out on a certain thing, don't force yourself to go through it. I would just stop right there, even if you're like in midstream.
That's a good point.
That's only one caveat I would add.
Yeah,
no matter where you're at.
That's especially if ammo is a precious commodity for you, either with your money or your time to load it, or with kind of have just the idea that you have to run the press and use up your hands when you're running your press to load ammo. Not everybody likes that.
True.
Anything to add, Tim?
I kind of equate, maybe over practicing or too many reps or too many drills in one session, kind of being like trying to retain all the information in, let's say, a book versus trying to retain all of the information in a couple of paragraphs. You know what I mean? Like if you read 10 pages out of a book and you set the book down and then somebody tested you on everything that you read, it's a lot harder for you to retain all 10 pages of information that you read, just like it would be if you did 8 drills in one practice session versus if you read a couple of paragraphs of something and then were quizzed on just a couple of paragraphs. It's much easier to retain that information. So, like reducing the number of drills, kind of to go back to that again, just to reduce the number of drills to something more manageable and something that's a little more meaningful in your practice instead of just going through the motions and shooting a bunch of rounds.
Yeah,
I'll step it even further. I'll say read those 10 pages 3 times, go to sleep, retain it into your long-term memory, read it again, go to sleep and do it again, and then once you're bored of that, that's where you have real retention. And then once you're bored of that, then you can have tattoo, like load your mags and refill your banana daiquiris and all that stuff like Ben does. And you're good.